The earliest record of a tide mill on this site by the River Dibben is 1170. It was owned by the Augustin Priory for around 350 years, until Henry VIII confiscated it. And for the next 28 years, it was in royal ownership. Queen Elizabeth I sold it to Thomas Seckford, whose family owned it for over 100 years, followed by several private owners. In 1793, the present mill was built on the site of an earlier one. By the 1950s, it had become the last working tide mill in the country, and it finally closed in 1957. The building was saved in 1968, restored and opened to the public in 1973. The mill was closed again in 2011 for further protection and restoration work, and it reopened in 2012 as a fully working tide mill, as well as a fascinating and remarkable living example of our industrial and cultural heritage. This animation shows the sacks of grain being brought to the top floor, moving to the grain hopper, which then flows to the milling stones, and then the flour flowing into the sack, the finished product. The water flows under the wheel with a 1 1/4 inch clearance. This scale model explains the method of storing the tide water which powers the mill. First, the tide comes in and is allowed to fill the storage pond.
Not really.
The gate is then closed before the tide turns.
So you would have paid it?
I must be very trustworthy looking. Yeah. No, 180 that was. Yeah. Oh, sure. It's giving you a £2, yeah.
Once the tide has gone out, the gate to the mill storage pond is opened, and the mill is powered by the flow of water back into the river. So the stored water turns the water wheel. That water returns back to the tidal river. The wheel runs at 5 revolutions per minute. The vertical main shaft rotates around 13 revolutions per minute. The great spur wheel is uppermost in the picture, and it drives the bedstones. which do the grinding. And the grindstones go at around 104 revolutions per minute. The crown wheel runs the pulley hoist, which is used to bring the sacks of grain from the bottom floor up to the top floor before it makes its journeys back down to be ground into flour.
Wheels that connect with the four metal wheels, which are very small and are used to drive the grinding stones. And the relationship is about 1 to 20. So when that big wheel is doing about 4 or 5 RPMs, it translates to the metal wheels which drive the grind to about 90 RPM. So, you know, it's about 1 to 20. There's your medieval turbo.
Absolutely.
It's lovely, isn't it? You know, it thrills me.
Yes, I can see
it
that.
really thrills me.
Yes.
Yeah. But of course, we don't get much of a run now.
No, I'm fine.
We don't get much of a run as time is concerned because
it's a lot smaller.
Well, we've only got this
Very small.
little jolly one. Yeah. Well, you've seen the marina.
Yes.
That was it.
It was all that.
That was our tide mill.
Yeah. And how many hours would it
Oh, you get 4 to 8 at different times during the day. In other words, the miller was working all morning, all afternoon, all night, depending upon the relationship between the tides to fill it and the tide to go out and let the water pass the undershot wheel into that channel. That channel has to be just about empty, damn near empty for the fall to shift it.
Yeah.
But,
That's wonderful there, and the outside looks so much tighter and that walkway out there, fantastic.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. The fact that it's very new, you know, and not part. You couldn't call it a restoration, but I mean. Well, it's the concession to letting people see how things work.
You couldn't see the wheel very much because once the little door was open in the side, you just sort of see it endways on now.
The wheelhouse is new built round the wheel.
Yes. Oh, yes.
New wheelhouse. Yes. It's very fine. Yes, the wheelwrights come from Norfolk.
Right.
They still come from Norfolk. We still have to pay for them to come from Norfolk, which is why we have an entry fee, of course. You know, because all the investment was all it was the original money to pay for the restoration. We've still got to keep the damn thing going.
Absolutely.
But everybody you see here, you know, Peter the warden for the day and so on, people like me, we're a bunch of volunteers. We do it for the love of the thing, but you know, the place has to be maintained.
Yes.
The roof and the cladding,
and all the cladding painted, yes.
And all of this.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is why we pay for stuff.